Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and it's time for more Scuttlebutt. This week, our game is from brand new testing ship Tier 10 premium Russian cruiser Smolensk. This ship is armed with 16, yes, you heard right, 16 130mm guns in 4 quadruple turrets. These are the same guns that are carried by pretty much every Russian destroyer in the game, only there are a hell of a lot of them mounted to what amounts to a light cruiser hull. That cruiser hull comes with both a heel and smoke and a choice between defensive fire or hydro. The long-range anti-aircraft aura on this ship is brutal. It stretches out to 6 kilometers and puts out a punishing amount of constant DPS. This enemy Graf Zeppelin is going to attack me here in a little bit. Watch what the long-range aura ticks do to him with defensive fire up. The mid and short-range AA is not that awesome, so once planes push through that long-range aura, they take significantly less damage. In fact, the mid-range aura is only about a kilometer, like 1.2 kilometers wide. It's a very narrow band. To be honest, this thing plays and feels like the love child of a Kutuzov and a Khabarovsk, right? It's just all of these guns, all the DACA. She has very little armor, but with the heel, the smoke, and smart positioning choices and knowing when to run, she's surprisingly survivable. I played about 3-4 games in this ship, and I have a really hard time imagining she makes it alive in this form. Right now, she's kind of gross, but enjoy the game. Big news this week in shooty boats. 8.4 is here, which brings with it everybody's favorite, a new ranked season. I have not brought myself to dive into this yet. I've been too busy trying out the new test boats this evening, like Smolensk here, but I'll probably subject myself to some of it over the weekend. There's, of course, new containers, a new collection, new tokens to earn under the unique, under the new system, under the new phase of the victory event, and of course, those can be spent on new unique Russian commander Nikolai Kuznetsov. The big change, of course, was right before the patch, Wargaming announcing that they were going to remove the aircraft carrier launch delay that they had been introducing at the start of a match. This took a lot of us by surprise, I think. It's not normal for something to make it through 2 rounds of testing on the public test and then be removed, like right before the patch drops. But that's exactly what happened here. I think, perhaps, they want to evaluate the impact of the changes to aircraft speed with the relation to engine boost before piling on with more CV changes. I won't pretend I'm super happy about this. We've discussed on Twitch in the past, the early spotting of the entire enemy team is one of the more irritating aspects of playing against aircraft carriers, right? We ended up with changes to the tournament spawns in King of the Sea 8 expressly because of this, right? Carriers spawned all the way on the back of the map expressly to deal with this. So as far back as February, this was recognized as a big enough issue by Wargaming that we adapted for tournament play, but here we are nearly in June, and a change that would have kind of helped curb some of this problem in random play has not made it to live, has been removed. So it's a little disheartening. I mean, it is what it is. They haven't expressly told us it'll never come. They've just said they're not doing it right now. So we'll see how it goes. In the same post, they did announce that carrier matchmaking at Tier 8 and Tier 10 will be improved again to reduce the likelihood of getting double Tier 8 carriers in a match. This is a fantastic change. I cannot wait for it to get here. High tier, Tier 8 carriers, Tier 8 and Tier 10 carriers really need to be limited to 1 per match unless there's just like hordes of them in the queue. So that's coming. Anyway, new patches here. Woo! Right after last week's Scuttlebutt, if you watched the Russian announcement stream on last Friday, they announced 2 new test ships that they haven't told us when they're coming, but I assume we'll get our first look at these on the 8.5 test server in the next couple of weeks. The first is Tier 10 Japanese premium destroyer Hayate. This ship is essentially a different configuration of Shimakaze. If you take away one of Shima's torpedo relaunchers and you radically improve her main battery reload speed, you kind of got Hayate. Like that's kind of where she is. Now, Hayate does have something that Shimakaze doesn't, and that is access to the torpedo reload booster if she wants it, but she has to give up smoke, so it's a trade-off, just like all those other Japanese destroyers that get to choose. So we'll see how she plays, but the Japanese destroyer guns are so good, but the reload speed just is brutal. Hayate's reload speed is 4 seconds. That's going to make these guns more than usable. The other ship that was discussed was Tier 10 British premium battleship Thunderer, which is hilarious for those of you on the North American server who are big fans of friend of the channel, Little White Mouse. What began as a joke, right? Her 100th ship review was a fake ship. Tier 9 British premium battleship HMS Thunderer. And she went into this long, involved review of a ship that literally did not exist, never existed, was completely fabricated, but now it's not a fabrication anymore. Now it's real. This ship is forced to use the 4x2 457mm main battery configuration that pretty much nobody uses on Conqueror right now. In exchange for that punishment, if you will, she gets access to defensive fire. Her long-range AA aura remains fairly not so great. Her middle-range aura is really good. The British equivalent to the 40mm Bofors, their pom-poms are just punishing in the middle ring. So, again, we'll see how this ship goes. I'm not sold. I'm not a huge fan of Conqueror to begin with, but maybe this ship will be interesting. We'll see. They came out with the last second on Monday or Tuesday of this past week. They announced there's going to be a quick and dirty player event, a player gathering here in Austin on the weekend, Austin, Texas. For those of you that don't know, Slava Octavian has been visiting the North American offices for the past week or 10 days or so, and they're holding a player gathering on Saturday, the 1st of June, for anybody who wants to attend. Come out, let them buy you some drinks and some snacks, and interact with the community team and whatever the development, well, it's not the development team, it's really just Sub is here. Interact with him, ask him questions, and do that sort of thing. So, like all player gatherings, I will always recommend, if you can go to this, absolutely do. Go meet Sub. He's fantastic. Ask him questions, talk to him, engage him, be polite, right? You're allowed to disagree. You're allowed to tell him you don't like something, but keep it professional. You don't get to go in there and berate him and call him an idiot. That's not okay. But definitely go if you're able to. I'll put the link down below to the announcement, and the sign-up link is in that forum thread. I unfortunately cannot make it. yes, Austin is only 2.5 hours up the road, but I've got too much going on this month because I've been invited to the CC Summit in St. Petersburg at the end of June, which means that my June is rapidly filling up. Now, this is not 100% locked in yet. Those of us who have been invited are going through the Russian visa process, and until that's done and plane tickets are all locked in and booked and everything, nothing is 100% a done deal. But the invite has been extended. I've accepted. I've told my bosses, hey, I'm going to be taking some time off, and we're working on pulling all of this together. I'm really excited. Like, Russia is a country I've not been to. I couldn't pass up the opportunity, and I'm stoked. I'm planning on doing a video log about this and posting about the trip as I go. My plan that I really hope I can pull off would be to post a log kind of at the end of every day, piece together, a 5 to 7 minute video, what went on, what we talked about, what we're allowed to pass on, because I'm confident, based on the CCs that I've talked to that went last year, there will be things that are discussed that I'm not allowed to talk about. There will be NDA segments of everything, but I'm really hopeful that I can pull that off. It's going to depend on how much time we have in the evenings. Last year it sounded pretty packed, so anyway, that's my cunning plan. We'll see if I can pull it off. There are other North American CCs going. I'm not going to steal their thunder. I'm going to let them make their own announcements, but it is going to be a pretty epic trip. If you want to keep tabs on the video log, please subscribe to the channel here. I don't normally beg for subscriptions because I feel like if you want to do it, you should just do it. I shouldn't have to ask. But if you're interested in what I intend to do for the trip, definitely subscribe so you don't miss out. As we get closer to the trip, I'm going to solicit some questions and topics that you'd like to see discussed, or things you want me to bring up or ask or whatever. So be thinking about that. Don't reply to this. It's too early. Let's get everything in order first, and then I'll put out the call for that sort of things. Last but not least, they made some additional changes to ships that are still in testing. First is to Tier 10 premium Russian battleship Slava. Unfortunately, this ship still exists. I'm not super happy about this. I don't like this ship. I don't like the playstyle it encourages. So it is what it is, but to their credit, they're still trying to get this ship right. So what they're doing is they've tweaked her repair and her heal. She now has fewer charges of both. I mean, sorry, the damage control and her heal. They're also nerfing her turret traverse. They're just trying to make this ship, I guess, less survivable, which makes sense given that it's going to spend most of its time at long range. It should be spending most of its time at long range. I hate the idea of this ship. I really loathe it, but they seem determined to make this work, so at least they're continuing to try and find that balance point along the way. Tier 10 premium Japanese cruiser Yoshino, hilariously, is getting buffs. If you've watched my builder's trial on that ship, you know my opinion. But they're buffing her gun reload. She's getting a second and a half faster, going from 20 to 18.5. She's getting the option for a fighter consumable or the spotting aircraft. The last version we tested had only the spotter. And they're keeping the 2 torpedo options, the 12-kilometer torps that Zhao has or the 20-kilometer torps that stock Shimakaze has. Pro tip, you want the 20-kilometer torps. Mogador got some nerfs to bring her more in line with Kleber. This makes sense, right? Kleber kept getting hit with the nerf bat. Mogador didn't, to the point where the tier 9 French destroyer in the line was essentially better than the tier 10. They've kind of tweaked that around a bit and brought Mogador more in line with where she should be. So not surprised, but I'm glad to see it. Right before she dropped, tier 10 Soviet tech tree battleship Kremlin also got a Sigma buff, going from 1.8 to 1.9. This happened right before the patch went live. I'm not sorry to see this, honestly. I really like this ship, and I'm glad that you're rewarded for being, having good, accurate guns, and how that ship plays. So I think that's going to be fine. And then there's some other tweaks and changes in there to low and mid-tier French destroyers. They're still playing around with the tier 3, 4, and 5 ships in that branch. So I'll put the link down below. You can check that out if you want. All right, guys. Well, that's it for the week. That wraps things up. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there, and I'll catch you next week.